Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Happy Resurrection Day. Happy I'm so glad to be here today. I'm going to be as brief as I possibly can today, recognizing that for many individuals, this is a day of worship and celebration and family get togethers. I am not going to be long. And every time I say that, we wind up going long. So whether you're watching live or whether you're watching the replay, I hope that today is all that you envisioned it to be. My name is Coach Yolanda. I'm an international certified spiritual life coach, birth doula, meditation guide, Reiki master teacher, grandmother, mother, sister, auntie, cousin, and all of those good things that I enjoy being. Today, we are going to see where the wind blows and what comes up for us. I'm saying it's called use the tools because there are spiritual and scientific tools at our disposal at all times, and we may not always be engaging in them. And so I thought as we are looking at the spiritual being, our spiritual being in terms of where is our power going, it would behoove us to talk about the amount of power that we already have at our disposal that we might not be using. And so last week when we did our check-in, we talked about where our power is going physically, mentally, emotionally, and now we are going to spend a couple of Sundays talking about where our power may be going spiritually. As a spiritual life coach, because spiritual is in the title, oftentimes people will reach out to me because there is either some confusion, lack of clarity in their spiritual realm. They're either looking for a definition of what that means for them. They're sometimes feeling disconnected from themselves spiritually. And the minute you identify and you're aware that you feel disconnected spiritually, you already are. Um, and so we're going to spend some time talking about the spiritual experience, which is a unique experience for each and every single one of us, which is why I will not define what spirituality means because it may mean different things for different individuals. And so if you have a definition of spirituality, I would love for you to share it because it may inspire or encourage someone else to create a definition that feels true for them. We talked 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago about religion being separate from spirituality. And I won't necessarily say that they are separate. Many individuals, including myself, have learned how to connect with themselves spiritually because of religion in religious practices. And there are religious practices that I engage in that keep me grounded, keep me centered, and keep me feeling connected to my spiritual self. We can always change our, let's not necessarily change, we can always expand our definition of what spirituality means for us, which is why I will never tell anyone, oh, no, that's not spiritual. Oh, no, you're being spiritual. I cannot define it for you. You cannot define it for me, but we can both facilitate a growth in what a spiritual experience, lifestyle, or journey may look like. And as I always say, we are on it right now. If you think that there's somewhere you have to go, something you have to do, I know lots of us love movies where people go on these heroes' journeys, these spiritual pathways. We love a good story. We're always on that journey. We're always on that pathway. We are always in the midst of something expanding us, something growing within us, something challenging us, something requiring us to see life in a different way, with a different perspective, in a different consciousness. Always, even in this moment, there is something going on in each of our lives that is challenging the way that we see ourselves and the way that we see the world, whether we are aware of it or not. And so, as I will not define spirituality for another person, I will attempt to define science. And so that's what we're talking about today, because oftentimes when the conversation of science and spirituality is had together, it's science versus spirituality, because we have all been programmed and hardwired to believe that one thing is against another. Like, I can't be an intellectual and also be spiritual. And nothing is further from the truth, in my opinion. In my opinion. I think that, which is why I said they're married. There really are aspects of science and spirituality that are so aligned that you really can have one without the other, if you are allowing yourself to see it that way. If you're the type that needs to separate things, I got to have, my intellectual mind tell me this, I got to have my spiritual mind tell me that, and the two can never meet. I don't know how you manage to get things done, living such a life of duality. Maybe you can give us some tips or tricks on how you manage to live two lives in, with two separate perspectives, where those two things don't meet up. And so I am going to read from the New Thought Dictionary. This dictionary has, over 1,000 terms, but they're very short, very condensed. And I know that there is a longer definition of science out there, but I am going to read just a couple of words about what science might be defined as. Science is a study of the mechanics of the universe, period. Science is a study of the mechanics of the universe, how the universe works, what works within the universe, what things come together, what things are separate. That's a basic definition of science. The mechanics of the universe. So much of what we know as humans has come from figuring out the mechanics of the universe, how this works versus that, how, what theories we are now all living under, what laws of science we are now all living under. And so, what I know about both spirituality and science is that it's truth seeking. Somewhere, someone is seeking the truth about something, some abstract thought, because we as humans love to have things make sense. We don't feel comfortable when things don't make sense. So, scientists from the beginning of time have always been seeking the answers and the truth of what is. How is that any different from spirituality? How many of us are always constantly on a search to seek answers to the truth of what is true for us, true for others, and true in the universe? Now, if I didn't put science or spirituality before those words, you wouldn't even know what I was talking about in terms of seeking truth, seeking answers. And so, another thing that science and spirituality have in common is the oneness, the allness, that there is a connection in all things. I was watching our boy, well, he's not a boy, he's a man. What's the smart man? I see his face all the time. He's a smart man. He's a physicist. But he was talking about how when a tree dies, all of the other trees try to support that tree through their root system. How are you? Oh my goodness. Um, he was talking about how all of nature supports itself through the root system. If a tree is cut down and it's starting to die, all of the other trees surrounding it, whether they belong to the same family of trees or not, the root system will send out energy to try to help that tree remain alive. And even if that tree dies, the other things in nature, whether it's moss, whether it's fungus, whatever it is, will use whatever that tree had to survive, because everything is connected. And if we can understand that as a scientific principle, then how come we can't understand it as a spiritual perspective, that we are all connected? And if one of us is hurting, all of us is hurting. If one of us is uncertain, unclear, or feeling out of sorts, then all of us every single one of us. Neil deGrasse Tyson. Thank you. Thank you, Erica. I watch him all of the time, and I could not get his name, but yes, I love that man. And while I don't always agree with everything that he may say, the way his mind works and the way he is able to explain things just does something to my spirit and to my soul. And so, if we can study nature, if we can study scientific theories and things make sense, why is it so difficult for us to understand that spiritual principles are really no different? We love to separate science and spirituality. And for those of us who consider ourselves to be intellectuals and always have to figure things out, it can be very challenging to put yourself in a energy of suspended belief, right? Where things may not be as tangible. And I know you know what I'm talking about, Coach Mac. As a scientist, I know you started out as a chemist where things make sense. You have data that supports the theory. And for many individuals, that is how they live their lives. If things don't make sense to me, then I don't believe them. I can't stand on them. I can't create a foundation of my life with them, with it. Spirituality is no different. There are laws. There are things that are absolute. There is proof. There is data. There are things that have been tested and tried and true. It is not just this abstract thought that has no tangible, real root to it. And so, as we've been talking about and discovering and identifying where our power is, hey, Miss Marissa Price, how are you, my love? As we have been exploring where our power may be going, when it comes to your intellectual mind, your spiritual mind, do you separate the two? Do you, as I know I have done in the past, have a collection of information that I keep over here and then a collection of information that I keep over there, and I never let the two meet? I don't know if I talked about this last week, but I had this experience where my mind was working overtime in terms of how am I going to figure this problem out? You know, it appeared to me, because that is the way that my mind was thinking intellectually, that this thing that I'm facing is going to be difficult, it's going to be challenging. I don't have all of the components that I need to fix it, right? And so I'm perseverating over all of the different options that I have, intellectualizing everything of why this is not going to work, why that is not going to work. And then I sat and I took a breath and I was like, when are you going to employ the spiritual tools that are at your disposal, which is probably where you should have gone first, Yolanda? When are you going to stop the overthinking, settle down into your body and say, you know what, this thing has already been taken care of. What am I worried about? What am I fretting about? Why am I using so much paper to write everything down and trying to figure it out and intellectualizing every possible outcome instead of just trusting, believing, having faith, praying about it, meditating about it, and then walking away trusting that all things will be as they are supposed to be? When are you going to use that tool, Yolanda? Supposed to be spiritual life coach. When are you going to allow both of those things to live together in perfect harmony? That I can look at something and quantify it, analyze it, and come up with reasons why it may work, why it may not work. But I can also stand and say, it is already figured out. I already have the answer. It's available to me if I can quiet my mind enough to trust and believe that this outcome has already been created. I waited 3 years to resolve a problem in my life because I was so busy trying to figure out up here how to figure it out instead of simply being and trusting and saying, it's already done. I don't need to know the who, the what, the where. I know the why. I know the why. Hello, my love. Blessings to you too. Happy Resurrection Day. I know the why. I was having a conversation with my beloved the other day about being clear. And I couldn't even really explain why this overwhelming feeling that I'm having as of late of being clear, of being certain, of when fear and worry tried to tap dance in my mind, I'm like, I don't have time for you. I don't need to know where it came from, how it came about. I don't need to figure all of those things out. All I know is that it is and that I am. And that's all right for me. So that part of my brain that needs to know everything and how it happened and where it happened, I can quiet that part of my brain because I can live in harmony with the two. There are things that I know that I'm going to figure out and understand, and there are things that are beyond me, and I'm okay with that too. But I'm trusting in both of those realities. All is well. All is well. So when we did our check-in last week, I don't know if y'all have been following along and doing your check-in, but I have recognized and realized that the majority of my power, my physical power, my mental power, my emotional power, is being used in maybe one or two areas of my life, and that is restoring myself. I spend so much time, and this is not an anti rest rant, but I spend so much time trying to recover from my mental exhaustion, emotional exhaustion, physical exhaustion. I'm spending so much time sleeping. I cannot get to the things that I want to do. And I love to rest, I love to sleep, but I recognize that it's way too much. Why is it taking so much of my energy to restore myself back to a place where I feel like I can accomplish some things? It's like I get up, the routine is I get up, I do what I got to do, and I'm doing what I got to do at 100. But then by the time I get home, all I want to do is eat and then go to sleep. And I'm noticing on the weekends when there's time for me to get so much done, I can't get it done because I'm sleeping. Or I'm trying to empty out my brain from all of the things that filled it up with through the week. And I also recognize that I am not employing the spiritual and scientific tools that are at my disposal so that I'm not draining myself, so that my power isn't being drained into particular places and spaces. So if you have been doing your work for the past 3 months of trying to figure out where your power is going, I've been doing my work. And now that I see what I need to see, I know what I need to do. And that is use the tools that have always been in my hands. Use the things that both science and spirituality can give me, the information that I need so that I can focus on the things that I say are important to me, on creating the life that I say that I want to lead, of going into the places and spaces that I want to go into. How are you going to know that if you don't take some time to analyze and identify what's going on? If you're just in that cycle of doing, and you haven't taken any time to slow down and become aware of what is going on in your life, how are you going to know? Or is this time next year going to look like the same time this year? Because we are going into the fourth month of this year. And I know everybody gets all ramped up in the beginning of the year. This year is going to be different, and I'm going to do this different, and I'm going to do that different. And then we find ourselves right around this time back in the same habits, doing the same things, feeling the same emotions, in the same rut that we may have been in this time last year. If you truly want things to be different, then you have to look at things with a microscope. You have to look at your life and examine what's going on here. Where is my power going? Because we may not be thinking that we're powerful. You came here powerful. You would not have been pulled into this existence without a certain amount of power. And then we get caught up in the humanness of it all. And we wonder why we are so frustrated and disappointed with the way things look. And if we took a cue from the scientific playbook of nature, where all things are connected, we would recognize that whatever's going on over there is going on in here. And how do I create more balance and harmony in my life so that I don't meet the same fate as what it is that I'm seeing? We talked about this last week, that if what you're seeing in the world is destruction and war and fighting and, things just not going the way that you would like for them to go, then you have to take an examination of what's going on internally in your own life, because it's probably a war, a battle, some fighting going on internally that we have to take an examination and look at too. And so, if you spend a lot of time in your mind, as scientists often do, or if you spend a lot of time in the clouds, as those of us spiritualists or those who are rooted in spirituality often do, and there's no harmony and no balance, then that's something you have to take a look at. Because if all of your energy is going toward being in the clouds, or all of your energy is going towards being in your head, where does the balance come into play? Where do you recognize that you are a host of things and not just one thing or the other? Or how many of us, considering it is the end of Holy Week for many of us, how many of us are holy on Sundays, but we're something else Monday through Friday? And so, if any one of us who are watching have found a way to marry the two, or you are on a discovery how you may have been in one space so much in your life, and now you feel like the pendulum is going the other way and you're in another space, at what point are you finding yourself regulated where you are employing both of those things? All of that mental energy and all of your spiritual energy are working together instead of working against each other. Because both of those parts of who you are, there is data, there is theory, there is experience. There are all of the things that we look for when we're trying to prove to ourselves that something is real. Marissa said, I feel called out. Listen, I live up there too. I live in there too, where I'm over analyzing and overthinking. And I'm starting to see the product of that. How many times am I going to write this thing down and overanalyze it? And at what point am I going to just settle myself and say, wait. You are not just mental energy. You got this spiritual energy, girl. And I am recognizing more and more when I tap into that part of who I am, along with all of the mental energy, there's nothing that I feel unsure about, which is probably why this energy of clarity has been living within me, where even when stuff looks funky, I'm still like, nope, I'm very clear. It may not look the way that I want it to look at this moment, but I'm clear about what it is. I'm clear about what I want. I'm clear about where I'm going. I'm clear that I'm spending a lot of time in one place or another. And that means I have the responsibility now of changing, of doing something different. So it may be a new experience for all of us when we start to recognize, whoa, I'm spending a lot of time up here and I'm not spending any time in here. I'm not spending any time connecting to the allness of life. When I think about it, it can be overwhelming to think that you have that much power. That all you simply have to do, and when I say simply, I'm not negating anyone's experience where you may not feel that it's easy or that it's simple. But taking a breath, recognizing who you are and whose you are and how we are all connected. And when you see something in someone else, you recognize it in yourself. And instead of judging and criticizing it, you pray for both of you. One of the things about resurrection time that hits me the most is the fact that knowing what was coming did not prevent or stop Jesus from doing what needed to be done. Now, there may have been times and it was like, you sure that this is what is supposed to happen? Are you sure? But it didn't really stop everything from happening and unfolding, and the fact that someone that was treated like a brother was going to betray him, and he still fed and washed his feet. That story, among all other stories of Resurrection Week, just always puts into perspective for me that I may be doubting myself. I may be telling myself all of these different things, but that shouldn't stop me from fulfilling what has to come. And I hope this is making sense. I pray this is making sense. Um, but there are going to be times when all that overthinking is actually hurting you more than it's helping you. It's actually holding you back more than it's pushing you forward. But when you are used to thinking, and when people come to you because of your thoughts, your perspective, and the way that you see things, it can be challenging. So I don't want anyone to think that if I say, oh, it's just simply taking a breath and meditating and everything will be all right. It's a hard thing, a challenging thing to do when from the time we were children, we were all up in our heads trying to figure things out. No one, not necessarily laying things out for us that made sense, where we had to figure things out. And so, Marissa, I'm calling myself out because I keep thinking about this experience where I allowed 3 years to pass before I sat and recognize and acknowledge there are spiritual tools that you haven't even thought about, that you haven't even engaged, you haven't acknowledged, you haven't accepted, and you certainly have not put into action. How many more times, how many more lists am I going to make? How many more people am I going to call? How many more times do I have to keep telling myself, it's hard, this is going to be hard? Because we're so used and we're so hardwired to think that everything in our life has to be hard and it has to be figured out in particular order, in particular ways. We're so hardwired to believe that every aspect of our life can be thought out from point A to point Z and that we're the only ones that can do it. That we're the only ones that are going to figure this thing out. We don't want to burden anybody else, but sometimes we do burden other people because we keep asking the same question to 20 million different people. And even if they give the same answer, we still don't trust it. And it's like, oh, I can't trust this. I can't trust that. I can't trust myself. And here we are, beautiful minds, disconnected spirit. And when we think about all of the things that great minds have created, and have yet to create, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful, just like those trees who recognize and acknowledge that they are connected to all things. When are we going to recognize and realize that the connection that happens in here and happens with others is really one of the greatest tools that we can employ and use in our lives? Hi, beloved. And it's exhausting, which is why I'm spending so much energy trying to restore myself because I'm using so much mental energy. Oh, it's exhausting. It is exhausting. And so, one of the questions that I offer to all of us: how often are we engaging in both of the superpowers that we have, these beautiful minds and our beautiful spirit? How often are we acknowledging, yes, there are laws of the universe and laws of science, and guess what? Sometimes they the same daggone law. just different perspectives. When we talk about the law of motion, every action has a reaction, dot, 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 dot. You think that's not the law of cause and effect? Like, they are married. To me, science and spirituality are married. What I see in science, I can see in spirit, and what I see in spirit, I can see in science. If I allow my consciousness and my perspective to let both of them live instead of trying to fight and say, oh, I got to be this and I got to be that. You beat all of how, why? It drives me crazy when I do it to myself. So imagine me coming home, blaming other people, other things for why I feel tired, why I can't get things done. It's like, girl, you're not even using the universal laws that are the same law. It's the same thing. But we only want to look at it from one perspective. Why would we limit ourselves in that way? And I already know the answer to that question, why we would limit ourselves in that way, because we're hardwired to limit ourselves. When the entire universe is like, girl, if you don't wake up and see what is at your here for you, to support you, to guide you, to love you, to correct you when necessary, it's exhausting. But it's also so miraculous and so intriguing and so exciting. It really is so exciting to recognize and to live in that space where I'm like, I'm using everything that the creator has given me. I'm not limiting myself. I recognize when I'm doing that. I recognize when I'm overwhelmed and I'm frustrated because I'm not balancing myself with all of the tools that are right here, right here. That if my mind can wrap its brain around some scientific principle, then why can't my mind wrap its brain around some spiritual principle? Come on. And so I offer this week as we are looking at where is your power going? Probably in one space or another instead of trying to create some harmony between the two. And for those of us who were diligent Christians today and went to church and said thank you for the sacrifice. Thank you for the miraculous transformation of my life based upon the consciousness that Christ lived in. My God, when I think about all that is available to me that I am not engaging and connecting to, well, I may wind up like just like that tree I talked about that died in the forest. If imagine if the tree was like, no, I know you other trees want to connect and help me and support me, but no, let me figure this out by myself. No, I don't need help from y'all to survive. I want to do it by myself. And when I think about how many times I do that to myself on a daily basis, I'm out here by myself. I got to use all this mental energy to figure out how to get this thing to be what I want it to be instead of recognizing it already is what it is. And all I got to do is trust and believe in myself and that the universe is right there whispering in my ear, girl, I got you. I got you. What the heck are you worried about? What are you uncertain about? Why are you calling that person and going over here and going over there looking for answers when it's in you this whole time? And all you got to do is quiet your mind and ask. And so I'm grateful that I'm in a space which I can't always explain, but I'm sure I am clear, even when stuff is looking shaky. Because we want to be in control. Thank you, Sister Erica. Yeah, because we want to be in control. Because God forbid we not be in control for 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour. God forbid. And what are you saying about yourself? And what are you saying about your connection to spirit if you feel you have to be in control all the time, if you don't feel protected, if you don't feel secure and taken care of. Do y'all remember maybe 2 weeks ago when I said nothing has ever been denied us? We live with this lie that somehow we have been denied particular things. And, when I think about my life and some things that happened, some things that didn't happen, I am grateful that I can now see that everything that was supposed to unfold unfolded in the way that it needed to unfold so that I could see what I needed to see, even when I didn't realize it. And I've never been denied anything. But if I live with that belief in my body, trust and believe that's how I'm going to see everything. They won't let me do this. I'm unable to do that. This is not going to happen. I can't afford it. We can't afford to disconnect ourselves in that way. We can't afford it. I'm trying, Coach Mac. I'm trying. And now I'm getting up, not upset. I'm excited. I'm amazed, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Last week I had an experience, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I don't even know, y'all. But this is what I want to share about being certain that I'm taken care of no matter what, no matter who might be in my life, out my life, whispering in my ear, talking behind my back. I know for certain that I'm taken care of. And that creates a particular energy when I'm interacting with other people. And I can recognize that as of late, what I won't allow in myself, I'm not going to allow to exist around me or in my conversations with other people. And so for the past 2 weeks, we've had this new experience, I'll say that, at the child care center, where, of course, we are not in control. Something is something that we have to learn. It's new for everyone. So of course we are all panicking. Oh my God, this is gonna go wrong. This is gonna go wrong. That's gonna go wrong. And I just kept saying, remain hopeful. Remain hopeful. And everyone's like, how do you stay so calm? How are you so sure? I don't know. But that's what I feel. Remain hopeful. It's gonna work out. And so I'm telling, the staff, the world is not going to stop turning. The mountains are not going to fall down in the sea. Whatever is going to be, and we will get through this just as we have gotten through everything else in our entire life that was new and unfamiliar, where we panicked and created all of this unnecessary stuff. I'm not doing it. I'm not. And every time I felt like it was going to rise up in my spirit, I just kept hearing, remain hopeful. Nope, it's not going to, it's not going to be as terrible as we think it is. And I work with, if I haven't said before, individuals who are new to this country and oftentimes new to the culture of inner city Wilmington. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. Inner city Wilmington, just new. Everything is new. And so a lot of times when something is introduced that we are unfamiliar with, of course it would create panic in people who are looking to us to have the answers. And so I know that it's my responsibility to remain like this, because if I'm uncertain and anxious and causing all, what does that do to everybody else who is looking to me to know or have the answer? And so while it can be a huge responsibility, it's also a huge honor to be in that type of position. And so I said, I'm grateful, God, that you think somehow I that this is what I can offer. And then I received a letter from one of the people on staff. And when I tell you that thing had me in tears, because it was a true expression of literally, I don't know what I would do, what I would have done if you were not present. If you were not who I know you to be, life would not be easy for us here. Old Yolanda would have ran at that level of responsibility. This Yolanda is like, yeah, give me more, because this is what I'm here for. There's no way that all of my life experience and all of this intelligence and wisdom that I have gained is for nothing. And there's absolutely no reason that all of these experiences, which have expanded and evolved my consciousness, just didn't happen for any reason. So if I take both of those things, my enlightened consciousness and my intellect and wisdom, and use them in a way that makes other people's lives better, what what else could I be asking for? How could I be unclear about anything in my life? How could I be uncertain when other people are finding certainty in me? What does that look like? And so for those of us who, and it's all of us, are on this journey of self-discovery, of who am I, of whose am I, of what does my personal development in life look like right now? Where do I want to go? Who do I want to be? Why am I here? Whatever question you may be asking yourself, I'm telling you, and I don't often feel like I'm in a position to tell anybody anything that is absolute, but I feel absolutely clear that what you are seeking answers to, you already have. That there are other things that might be going on for you mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically that could be in the way of that, or in the way of your perspective of seeing yourself in that way. Which is why I'm not going to ever tell anybody what a definition of spirituality is, because you already have that definition. It might be a working definition, but you have it. It's unique to you, just as it is unique to me. Absolutely, there are some particular specific characteristics and principles that are at play, but you have it. That power that you think you don't have, you have it. It's in you. It pulled you into existence. It sustains you every single moment. Even in those moments where you didn't think that you were being sustained, you were. It has never been denied to you and given to someone else. You know, that other story that we like to tell, that everybody else has something that we don't, that everyone else's life is easier than our own, that other people have access. Now, that's not 100% untrue. Other people do have access to privileges that may not be accessible to all of us. But there is something within you that other people cannot touch, cannot take away without your permission, with whether it is conscious or unconscious. There is something within you that is so absolutely powerful. You have to believe it. You have to operate from that place. And oftentimes people will say, well, how do I do that? By number one, first of all, acknowledging that it's present. Even if you don't know what it looks like, sounds like, feels like, smells like, you can't really describe it to anyone else, say, I know I got something within me that is greater than the experience that I might be having right now, or that will push me toward the experience that I desire. There is something within me. Now, I might have to uncover a whole bunch of stuff to get to it, but I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to do that. And one of those things is our mind, the way we see things, the way we think about ourselves and other people. One of my good friends, whether they know it or not, posted something. It may have been yesterday. I'm not quite sure. about when you see someone else going through something and for whatever reason you mock them, or you think it's funny, or you join the voices of those who are like pointing the fingers and ah, ha, 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 look at you, you're in trouble, all of that. You have to be mindful. Do you not want that type of experience to come in your life? Do you not feel as though you are as connected as the trees and everything else in nature? Do you not recognize that there is a universal law at play all the time, and that every action that we engage in is a part of that cause and effect? Maybe that's where you start, by acknowledging and recognizing that we are all connected, that no one of us is higher or lower than the other, by being mindful of what you think and say about other people. Maybe that's where you start. Or maybe you start with yourself, by recognizing the things that you are saying about yourself, the actions that you are engaging in that are contrary to who you desire to be. Hmm. I had that conversation with one of my children before. We've been having a lot of conversations about who we say we are and the behavior that we are exhibiting. So if you tell me, you know, well, how can I say this without calling any of my adult children out in a public forum? Maybe I'll leave that alone because I'll hear it later. But if you know yourself or tell yourself that you are a particular thing, but your behavior looks contrary to that, then do you really believe what you're saying about yourself? Is, I guess, the question that I'm asking. How often are you engaging in the self-awareness that we talked about, where you see yourself doing something and you know as you're doing it that it's contrary to the you that you desire to be? Maybe that's where you start. But we have to start somewhere, whether it's in our head with that mental examination, whether it's in the physical, in our behavior, taking a look at, am I being the person that I say I want to be, or do I think something else has got to happen? Or do I keep praying about it, hoping that, you know, whomever, whatever, however I'm praying is going to kick something in and jumpstart it? Or are you actually, with intention, changing particular things, identifying particular things, acknowledging particular things, and accepting particular things? We can intellectualize all we want, but if we're leaving something else out, we out of balance. We're out of balance. I don't want to be out of balance. And I recognize through this work that I have been so out of balance. I'm calling my own self out, Marissa. I have been absolutely out of balance. Thank you, Erica, for talking about how control and the desire and the need to be in control will also have you out of balance. In the clouds or in your head, to the extreme in any one of those places is going to have you out of balance. How do you marry those two things? I'm a smart girl. I'm a spiritual girl. Why would I not come from both of those places? One does not knock the other one out. I need both of those. I need my intelligence, my divine intelligence, my intellectual, my wisdom. I need all of it to live the life that I desire to live and to be who I believe I was created to be. And that means that I have to learn and educate myself and study about the laws of the universe, and not just those things that are tangible, that I can see, or whatever brother Neil deGrasse Tyson tells me. Like I said, I love listening to the man, but there are some things where I'm like, I don't know. That may be true for you, Neil, and I'm gonna let you have that. But there are other things that I believe, and that's okay. That is okay. I don't have to force anybody to believe what I believe. I don't have to force anyone to change the way they see things. All I'm here is to offer my perspective and the perspective of others that have inspired me. And I think that's what we're all here to do, just like those trees who are out there saving one another. It's like, oh, wow, one of us is hurt, one of us is in need. We have to band together to make sure that they have what they need. As I said last week, nature is about to show us all what true transformation really looks like and what it requires. And it's not a whole lot of control, I can tell you that much. We talked about the surrender that comes through personal development, that comes through personal growth, that comes through emotional and spiritual maturity. Ooh, I want to be mature. I want to be mature. And I'm grateful for the individuals who allow me the space to grow that maturity. You know, as I was saying, that experience at work, if those individuals didn't trust me, I wouldn't be able to grow in the way that I'm growing. It makes me want to cry. And I don't know that we always acknowledge how other people influence our spiritual growth and our intellectual growth. You know, those people that challenge you, they're growing you. You may not see it that way at that in that particular moment, but the people who get on your nerves, you might have to go spend some time with them tomorrow at work. They're growing you spiritually and in ways that you may not have accounted for. Just like Jesus out here washing feet, we may have to have that level of forgiveness for some folks. And in the midst of that, you get to grow. Imagine that in the midst of forgiving someone else, in the midst of forgiving yourself, in the midst of changing your perspective, you get to grow. And you get to give your spiritual tools some muscle. Whew. All right, let's meditate. I said I wasn't going to be long today because I recognize that for many of us, we are spending time with our families. Not all of us, but some of us are. I believe my rest of my family is supposed to join me today. I got eggs, whether they coming or not. I got eggs hidden all over the house for grandbaby girl. Um, I'm grateful for this space where we can come together and inspire and challenge one another. I have offered before that if any one of you ever want to join me, like Professor Natasha and Tea Time, I don't see Tea Time on today. I'm going to check in with them later. This is a way that you can do that. Email me because I got rid of my website. I recognized I didn't need it, and that's power going into a place and space which could go somewhere else. So as we are examining our spiritual being, the spiritual realm of our existence, and what is necessary and what is not necessary, and where your power is going. Again, if you are spending so much time in your head, you are starving yourself spiritually. But if you are so heavy, the other extreme, in your spiritual self, you might be starving your brain, your mental energy. Please do, my darling. How are you, Donna? We are still going to meditate before we get out of here. Marissa. We have talked about that. The people who challenge you are growing you. Now, that doesn't mean that you just let anybody come up in your space and place and treat you any kind of way, talk to you any kind of way. But if you think about it with that perspective, and I know I've talked about this before, people who are in my life, not necessarily in my life because I haven't spoken to them, but I haven't resolved issues with them. I know they are challenging me to become a higher version of myself. And so when I think about Jesus potentially looking in the eyes of Judas as he washed his feet, knowing what was about to go down, I'm like, Yolanda, do you have that level of forgiveness in your spirit? And I am honest and I say, no, not yet. Yolanda, do you have that level of forgiveness in your spirit where you will feed people who you know are about to stab you in your back? No, not yet. But I aspire to have that level of love and forgiveness in my consciousness. I really aspire to have that amount of expansion in my heart where when I know somebody has done something to me, I can still meet them with love. I aspire to have that level of to have that type of consciousness. And I know as sure as I have said that's what I aspire, that the good divine energy that I know it to be is going to challenge me with something coming up. Something my prayer partner and I used to always say, be careful when you ask for expansion because you know what that means. I know what it means, but I'm still, I do. I really aspire to have that level of love for myself and for other people. I am a work in progress, and I shall be until the day I take my last exhale on this plane. But I do aspire to have that, to be mindful that there is no separation in the universe. And if there is no separation in the universe, then I am connected to you and you are connected to me. So if I feel some kind of way about you, that energy, it started here. It may be going outward, but it comes right back. And I aspire to have a clean consciousness as much as possible. I really, really do. And I hope for those of you who are looking at where your power might be going, how much of your power is going into places and spaces of people that are getting on your nerves and the energy it takes for you to see them that way. Hate requires a lot of energy. Disgust requires a lot of energy because you got to keep thinking about that thing. You got to keep thinking about the thing that was done, that was said, you have to, in order, sometimes when you haven't spoken to somebody in a long time, you're like, how come we're not speaking? You got to go back to, oh, that's why we're not speaking. And now that thing is alive again, living and breathing. Oh, I forgot to say Instagram. We cut out after an hour. Sorry, Instagram. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I forgot to say that at the beginning of the stream. The Instagram, you all gonna cut out after an hour, so you might want to jump over to YouTube. Um, so for those of you, if you are interested to have a discussion online, it really adds another layer of perspective in terms of all of us taking a look at where our power, because that's the intention for this year. Where is my power going? And how do I start to operate from a place of power instead of those places from the past that may have kept us in resistance? All right, y'all, let's meditate. And so I offer that you take a look. Do you have your journal? That you take a look this week and write down Am I so into my head? I know one of us, at least two of us, are going to say yes. Am I so in my head that I'm forgetting about the spiritual tools that I have within me? Am I even unclear about what those spiritual tools are? Because you have to be aware of that, right? You have to be aware and say, I don't even know what my spiritual tools are. I don't even know what that means. And we'll talk about that next week. But acknowledge, I feel disconnected. Sometimes when you say it, it will lead you to the answer quicker than if you deny that it's even real. Tell the truth. Now, I don't even know what my spiritual power is. I don't know what it looks like, tastes like. I don't know anything about it. Because the minute you acknowledge that, you will be closer to figuring out what it is or discovering what it is or allowing those things to start to live in your life. All right. I am so grateful that so many of you have pulled other people into this space. Thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. Um, so before we came on, I had written some things down about what I would like to meditate on in terms of the marriage, which I'm calling a healthy, happy marriage of science and spirituality, of intellectual energy and spiritual energy. That perfect, healthy marriage. They just love each other so much. And what it also can provide for us is an allowance of ease when you're not overwhelmed mentally and you're not disconnected spiritually. There is an ease. I talked about being in this space in my life where I am so clear, unshakable, faith filled, believing. You're not going to discourage me no matter how much other people's mental chatter is around me. I'm not being discouraged. And it feels so good. It really does feel good to be in that place and space. And I don't know how long I'm going to be in this place and space because I'm human and I could walk away from this screen and 2 minutes later be like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to make it tomorrow. We don't know when those things are going to ebb and flow in our life. And so allowing ease is what my prayer was this morning. And so let's meditate on more ease. And I didn't say easy, more ease, where things don't always have to be this struggle, this fight that we oftentimes will create for ourselves because we think we have to. I said that to my beloved, I believe yesterday. It's like, why do we think everything's got to be so hard and hurtful and painful? It doesn't. But we have to allow that ease to be a possibility. We have to recognize when we are in a fight or creating a fight or creating dissension, because sometimes it's a creation of our mind that didn't even exist. But here we go creating it because we are hardwired to believe that things have to be hard. But things you can have experiences in your life that have a measure of ease to them. Not easy, but ease, meaning there's no fight. You're allowing. There is not a lot of that control that Erica, identified for us. We're not trying to control. We're allowing things to be as they are. I told y'all, that I have this reminder on my wall about being a martyr because so many women in my family loved being martyrs. Well, if I don't do it, it doesn't get done. If y'all didn't have me, y'all wouldn't have. Those are things that I heard growing up. And then I believed that about myself. Even in conversation with my daughters yesterday. Oh my God. And I said, I'm dramatic. I know it. And so I want to allow more ease in my life. And I trust that for those of you who find a lot of mental, emotional struggle, that you would also. So let's take some deep breaths. Allowing our bodies to tell us what it needs in this moment, allowing the stillness that comes with breathing. Do you recognize how still parts of your body, your muscles become when you are actively and intentionally breathing? How many of us recognize when we're not breathing, when we're holding our breath? When you are breathing with intention to clear and to calm, hmm, that's some good ease in your body, in your mind, and hopefully in your spirit. And so as we are breathing, hmm, and allowing more ease in our shoulders, I recognized earlier today that my back felt very, very tight. The muscles in my back felt very tight. And here I go. The very first thing I started to do was start with the mental energy. Well, what did I do? Did I do, as one does when one is trying to figure out why we are having a particular experience. And then I stopped myself and I was like, okay, your muscles in your back are tight. You either gonna go get a massage, or you're gonna do some stretches, or you're gonna go lay out on the hammock so that you are suspended. You know what to do to take care of yourself. But there's also a spiritual component to why your back is hurting. Are you willing to explore that, Yolanda? And Yolanda said, no, not right now. But the fact that I will acknowledge that there is also, in tandem, something else to be said, to be heard, to be learned from that experience. I'm not going to overwhelm myself with what did I do? What didn't I do? Did I not sleep right? Did I not do I need a new mattress? I'm not going to, overanalyze that portion. I'm going to put some balance to it. And so as we are breathing and allowing more ease to enter into our mind, let us also remember that allowing requires releasing. And so let's release within us any desire to engage in self destructive behavior. What? Yes. No matter how intense it may be, we all engage in self destructive behavior from time to time, whether it is through our thoughts, our feelings, or our behavior. If we want to allow more ease, then we have to allow that to be released, the desire. Sometimes it's a conscious desire, sometimes it's an unconscious desire. Just to engage in behavior that seemed to have worked for us before. So it seems like it's the right thing to do, not recognizing that it can be self destructive because we no longer want to destroy ourselves. We no longer want to engage in actions that cause about our destruction. And in fact, allowing ease into our consciousness, into our lives, would allow us to restore ourselves. And allow us to see and understand and begin to implement all of the intellectual and spiritual tools within us. Because when we are engaging in destructive behaviors, we are not thinking with our clear mind. We are not thinking with a clear heart. And so as we breathe, just envision that clearing of those self destructive thoughts, those self destructive behaviors or feelings that are getting in the way of you tapping into the ease that is present and available for every single one of us. Let us see ourselves as we were created instead of what we may have become. Let us undo, untie, snap off, cut off, reduce all of those things that keep us in limitation. And we ask that the merciful energy of love place all of the characteristics, the habits, the laws, the choices that are aligned with the frequency of love into our consciousness in this moment and beyond. Whew. We are asking to be healed in all of the places and spaces in our life that refuse to let go of the limited stories, the limited behavior, the limited thoughts, the toxic environments that we tell ourselves that we need to be in, have to be in, can't wait to be in, are afraid not to be in. Because it's not allowing us to grow. We got to get out of it. We want to get out of it. We are getting out of it through our breathing, through our connection. And if there are places and spaces within me that are need of a restoration through the connected allness of everything, may I allow it to enter into my consciousness, into my being, without fear, without fear, without fear. Let me trust it. Let me believe in it. Let me be so clear that the universe is taking care of me, has never denied me anything, that I wouldn't engage in behavior that denies things for myself. Let me not believe that. My God. Oh my goodness, how beautiful. Congratulations, Sister Dula. Isn't it a beautiful thing to witness and to be a part of? And let me tell you that life that you witnessed coming into being, whew, it was purposeful for you to be there. And if you take anything else away from that experience of what you have given to that family and what that family has given to you, is that all of you created something beautiful together. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. Doesn't it make you feel like anything is possible when you see life come into being? It is a celebration. It is an absolute celebration and a testament to just how magnificent you are. Oh my goodness. And I'm so grateful that you said that, because I also recognize for each and every single one of us, there is a birth happening. If you would allow yourself to see it that way, even right now in this moment, we may be going through some labor pains. We may be experiencing all of the things that are connected with birth, which is painful and uncertain. It literally is one of the experiences as a human where life and death are both a possibility. And it's so real. And so when you are in the midst of that experience, you feel it. It is this heightened sense of danger, but also this heightened sense of life. But we are all experiencing that on some level. Something is being born within each and every single one of us. And it can be scary. But my God, is it not miraculous that who you are in this moment is going to be so different than you are in another moment because something is being born within you. And all you got to do is allow it. Let me tell you, for any person who has witnessed or experienced childbirth, you can't stop that train. As much as we sometimes try to control that experience, and sometimes it's necessary, sometimes, most times, not. I could talk all day about how humans have disrupted the natural process of birth, but we don't have that kind of time. However, in its most natural state, childbirth is, I think, unlike any other experience that humans can, not just humans, that mammals can have. I'll say it that way. And I'm probably still excluding a host of beings by saying it like that. But that's the one I'm familiar with. Um, However, it is happening for each and every single one of us. Please do not think that if a child does not come through your body, that you are not experiencing a birthing experience in your life. Sometimes multiple births all at one. Oh, sometimes multiple births, multiple labors, all different. There's a whole lot of stretching. Sometimes there's some tearing. Sometimes, whew, but there's something going on within you right now that's like, it's time. I'm ready to come into existence. And we could be the ones holding it back. The last thing you want to do is to hold back something that is ready to be born. Ugh, I would not recommend it, even though I know I have engaged in it and probably engaging in it right now as I think about things that I have continuously written down. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. And I put no action behind it. And I know that that may be true for most of us. Just as, we meditated, ask for release, ask for ease, request it, require it, demand it to be present in your life. Don't just be asking for stuff and then you don't create the requirements in your life for that thing to exist. It's like, I would like an ease. I would like ease in my life, but then you keep doing the same thing you've been doing. Create the conditions for that thing to live. Create the conditions for it to live. Just as if it was a newborn baby. Because if you're bringing a child into the world and you have not prepared the way, meaning you got some diapers, you got food, you've got a place for the baby to sleep, like you have to prepare the things that you say you want in your life. You got to prepare to sustain that life. And you have tools in which to do so. If you are, as I say, if you are in the clouds only or in your head only, you're not using the fullness of who you are. And that is my offer to all of us this week. Come on, Marissa. You know, ask for that thing, and then you want to push it away when it gets here. You're like, oh no, I don't think that's not how I thought it was going to be, or it's not the way that I thought it was going to look, or don't push it away when it arrives. You better love that thing that you say that you wanted, even if it comes unexpectedly, because I recognize that there are things that are being created and born that you didn't necessarily expect or ask for, but you have no idea whether or not it's exactly what you need. Just as I said, I didn't know, or, I wasn't expecting to find myself in a place where I was going to be responsible for other people's not happiness, but other people's direction and guidance. It's like, I didn't sign up for that. But here we are, and that's the role that you play. So you better play it to the best of your ability because you have no idea. Mm, you have no. We have no idea how other people are in need because we're connected and we're in there. People are in need, and you might have what other people need, and here you are telling yourself, "Not me." Yes, you. And certainly the individuals, and I'm pointing over here only because this is where I can see everyone's comments. Certainly, the individuals, many of the individuals in this place and in this space have something that someone else needs. I know they do. Marissa has a book of affirmations. I know you need affirmations in your life. You do, whether you know it or not. You better be speaking life over yourself. Oh, I said we weren't going to be long, and here we are going long. So, connecting with other individuals is essential to your survival, to our survival as a species. We have to connect with one another and not to consume, but to, reciprocity. Reciprocity. I feel like I was all over the place today, and that's because I feel so inspired. I don't know about y'all, but I have loved Beyonce since the Destiny's Child days. I don't always like everything she does, but I'm always, always, always inspired by her ability to reinvent herself. And so, of course, I was off on Friday. I listened to Cowboy Carter. I cried on two songs, but most of all, I was inspired by the story of y'all booed me and didn't want me in your space when this is a space that we have occupied since the beginning of time. Well, guess what? Now I'm going to be even more in your space. Like, I love that level of inspiration. Like, you didn't want me in this space. Well, guess where I'm going to be in this space? I am going to not only be in this space, I'm going to create my own space. And I'm inspired by that. And it has me this whole weekend listening to that album has me thinking of, well, what space have you created, Yolanda? Or do you just keep writing it, writing it, writing it, writing it? How are you reinventing yourself? How are you challenging yourself that where places you think you don't belong, you say, not only do I belong there, but how about I'm going to change it up to where you don't even recognize what it is anymore because now I've created something different and unique. Whew. I love a creative spirit. Um, I love a creative spirit. I am inspired by the work that many of you are doing, even if I'm not actively engaging, because I told y'all, Sister Be Tired, I am now more aware of how much time I'm spending trying to rest and restore. I'm losing out in terms of connection. I'm losing out in terms of connection. So there are things that I have to do. What you say, my love? Mm, listen, is it not a beautiful thing when we start believing because we have to let go of that mindset that it can only be done in a particular way, in a particular space? Like, once we let go of that core belief, it's so freeing. It's so freeing. And here you are reinventing yourself in the way in which you connect with your community. And maybe that's another inspiration for all of us that we have to rethink the ways in which we engage with one another. There's not just one way. And so let's challenge ourselves to figure out how do we remain connected, but in different ways, in more exciting ways that challenge us. Do not forget to take a look at Where your mental energy is and where your spiritual energy is. Are they supporting each other or are you separating the two? Are you living this duality where you corporate Kathy most of the time and then you spiritual Sally and other times? Do you recognize you can be both of those things in both of those places and spaces? I can't tell you how much ease has been entered into my life in the childcare center when I'm thinking in more of a spiritual context, when I'm not so in my head, well, it's got to be like this, and we got to do this, and we got to do that. It's like, let's expand and think about other ways in which we can create. Are we connecting? Or are we just doing? Are we so busy doing that we forget about being? I'm inspired by you ladies. Look at y'all loving on each other. Let's get free together. Oh, I love it. Yes, let's get free together. Let's allow ease to come into our lives together. I want to hear about your ease. I'm going to tell you about my ease, and hopefully it will inspire so much more of that. Where we are abandoning these chaotic lifestyles, where we're fighting one another and ugh, it's exhausting. I'm amazed at the number of people who get up every single day to be nasty to people they don't know online. Like, what is that? What is that? Imagine that things going on in your life take a second seat to you going on the internet being nasty to people. I just, what? Ugh. Don't do that. Don't be that. Yes. Let's start being. Let's start being. I am grateful to be in this space with you. I am going to commit myself to connecting in ways that I haven't been for some time. And I would ask that those of you who love and support me keep me accountable. Keep me accountable. If there are things that are going on and you don't see me, hey, why are you not over here? Have you signed up for this? Did you join that? So that I'm not sleeping my life away and then waking up wondering why is everybody doing things and I'm just not. I don't have fear of missing out. I know I'm missing out. I'm missing out on a lot. And it is now my responsibility to create more balance and harmony in my life by being consciously aware of the amount of energy that I'm spending mentally and emotionally instead of employing so much more balance and using my spiritual tools. I haven't been using them, y'all. Haven't been using them. And I'm a spiritual life coach. So if I'm a spiritual life coach and I haven't been using them, I don't know what y'all doing to maintain yourselves. But I hope that wherever you are loving yourselves, you are supporting yourselves in the healthiest of ways. Make sure that you are nurturing not just your body, but your spirit. You're nurturing your mental and emotional health. You are saying no when you mean no and saying yes when it feels like a yes and not a maybe, because a maybe ain't a yes. Say yes when it feels like a yes instead of all of that other stuff that we do to make other people feel better and so that they will like us. I am Coach Yolanda. This is Mama Meditations. I love y'all. We have been together for exactly 1 hour, 30 minutes, and almost 31 minutes. And I've loved every bit of it. Next Sunday, let's see, where we at? Is April 7th. And I'm going to have something different. I'm going to have something different. Now, let me tell y'all this. Tomorrow is April 1st. I am an April born baby, and I like to celebrate the entire month of April. So forgive me If I'm not in the places and spaces that I said I was going to be, because I'm in another place and in another space. And because my beloved and I share a birthday, and this is technically the first birthday that we have spent as a couple, I have no idea what we're going to be doing, but I hope that it is grand. I love you. I love you. You are so absolutely welcome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad we're still connected. Thank you, my love. And I'm so, so grateful for you. I hope you take the energy of your first birth and carry it with you in everything that you do. Um, I really, really do. It is such a special thing to be a part of. It really, really is. Um, I'm grateful for all of you. Continue to enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll be back here next Sunday, same time, same bat channel. Be good to yourselves, be good to one another. I love you. I love me. I love us. And thank you so much for watching.